Why did Blockbuster really fail? And more importantly, was it actually a good thing? Imagine this, Blockbuster at its peak wasn't just a video store, it was the video store. At its height, Blockbuster had more locations than most countries in the world had movie theaters. And with more than 80,000 employees and an annual revenue of nearly $6 billion, it was a titan of the entertainment industry. So, how exactly did Blockbuster experience such a meteoric rise? And what drove this behemoth of a company to go from over 9,000 stores in 2004 to just one today? From its inception in 1985, Blockbuster operated on a very simple business model. It bought movies in bulk at very cheap prices and rented them out to customers for a small fee. After recouping its costs, the company would then sell the movie at a discount and then move on to a newer release. Now, once you do that with hundreds of different movies and you offer customers extra merchandise like popcorn and candy, you've got an incredibly lucrative business model. So lucrative, in fact, that by the early 1990s, Blockbuster had begun to grow exponentially. In less than 10 years, the company went from one tiny location in Dallas, Texas, to opening a new store every 24 hours. The company even began to branch out into other areas, famously winning a lawsuit in 1989 against Nintendo that allowed it to rent out video games. So, why did it fail? Well, many blame the decline and fall of Blockbuster on Netflix, and there's a lot of truth to that, but not always for the reason people think. Blockbuster was actually given the opportunity to buy Netflix for $50 million. Considering Netflix's market cap today, this was arguably the worst missed opportunity in history. But contrary to popular perception, Blockbuster wasn't at all oblivious to the threat Netflix posed. In fact, the company's own annual reports listed them as their chief rival. Instead, Blockbuster chose to compete with Netflix. And when we consider the fact that Blockbuster collected more than $800 million from just late fees alone in the same year that they were offered to buy Netflix, they had every reason to believe they could win. But ironically, it's actually the late fees that explain the collapse of Blockbuster far more than it is their failure to buy Netflix. While this decision brought about a David versus Goliath style showdown between the two companies, it wasn't Netflix that killed Blockbuster so much as it was, well, you, the paying customer. We often forget this fact and instead focus on how one company triumphed over the other. But that's precisely why the failure of Blockbuster was actually a good thing. Because the whole reason Netflix defeated its rival was because the marketplace demanded more flexible and convenient ways to watch movies. First by renting DVDs through the mail, and then later through streaming. The fact is that the service Blockbuster built its brand on became outdated. The fall of this entertainment giant had a lot more to do with the company's failure to address the changing demand of its customers than it did with passing up a chance to buy one of its competitors. In the end, the only way Blockbuster could have survived is if it had completely overhauled virtually every aspect of its business, and if it had done that, well, it simply would have been what Netflix is today. So the story of Blockbuster isn't just about a collapse of a business, it's about the collapse of a way of doing business. Blockbuster failed, not because it didn't acquire Netflix, but because it didn't meet the desires of its customers the way Netflix did.